I'm thankful for asking me to speak on the archaeological evidence of ancient Kashi. So now you all know that Kashi or Varanasi is the eternal city, and it has its own characteristics which many of the cities in the country they don't have, but there are some certain special features of Kashi, but it's very difficult to pinpoint all of them in just a small lecture. But still I would like to show you through some slides about the city of Kashi and also discuss about the archaeological evidence which we have found from Varanasi or Kashi. Kashi or Varanasi is one of the oldest living cities of the world, one of the 7 cities which give salvation to the people. No city in India arouses religious emotions of Hindus, Buddhists and Jainas as much as Kashi does. It's called Mokshdaika, and that is why I mentioned that it gives salvation to people. It's also called one of the 7 cities which give salvation, Saptapurika. It is mentioned repeatedly along with other important cities of the historical times. Archaeological evidence from recent excavations have pushed back the antiquity of Kashi to the early 2nd millennium BCE. Besides being a great religious center, it is also known in history as well as even today a place of handicrafts and silk weaving. And mostly there are 712 references of Kashi in Jatakas, where it is mentioned to be a place of handicrafts, etc. Besides that, Kashi was also famous because of its culture and education. Multiple growth of the city helped in development of trade and commerce on Uttarapath in mid-Ganga plains on one hand, and institutions of education and performing arts on the other. And that tradition still continues in the city. It had become one of the 16 Mahajanpadas around circa 1000 BC and had fully developed during the time of Lord Buddha. Kashi was the ancient city of Mahajanpad of the same name, which was also known as Varanasi. The name Kashi stands for both the city as well as the Mahajanpad, but the name Varanasi stands only for the city, as it was located on the confluence of Ganga and Varna in the north and Asi in the south. So there are 3 rivers, Ganga meeting Varna in the north and Asi in the south. Antiquity of the city and its continuous history was confirmed after excavations conducted by the Archaeological Survey of India in 1940 at the site of Rajghat. In fact, the railway station of Kashi was under construction, and at that time some archaeological evidence including pottery, antiquities and structures were noticed. And then it was decided by the ASI to get excavations done there, and Sri Krishnadev was asked to do this excavation, and he did it for just 1 season, but it was very important and significant work. Remains of a temple, northern black polished ware shards and terracotta figurines were found, besides a ceiling with the legend in Gupta Brahmi script mentioning Varanasya Adhikaranasya, which confirms the location of the city. And it also gives an indication that this city of Varanasi had the administrative center at the site of Rajghat. Much more extensive work was carried out by the team of Banaras Hindu University from 1960 to 1967. This excavation was conducted under the leadership of late Professor A.K. Narayan, revealing a continued sequence from pre-northern black polished ware to the medieval times. There were certain lacuna still left after several seasons of excavations, and scientifically the early deposits were not dated, and they were supposed to be, the earliest deposit was supposed to be around 800 BC. The site was further excavated in 2013-14 by the Archaeological Survey of India and Gyan Pravah. I was the director from ASI side, and Professor Vidula Jaiswal was the director from the Gyan Pravah side. And it was to study the cultural sequence followed by revision of periodization. And we found, I'll tell you later, that we found the remains going back to about 1600 BC. So at least the history of antiquity of Kashi was pushed back to 800 to 1000 years, what earlier was known. You can see some of the slides of the present day Kashi and the ghats of Banaras, and which more or less looked the same in 1910. This is a picture of 1910. Kashi finds mention in the Pipalad Samhita of the Atharva Ved, on account of which the antiquity of Kashi may go back to the middle of the second millennium BC at least, if not earlier, which is also attested by archaeological excavations at Rajghat, 2013-14, Ramnagar, 2006-7. Ramnagar is the site which is on the other side of the river Ganga. Aktha is another site, most probably it was a Chalcolithic site which developed into a crafts village later on in the historical period. It was excavated from 2002 to 2004 by BHU, and similar material found at Sarai Mohana, which was found earlier in 1967-68. Some craft villages adjoining the city were also excavated along with Aktha, such as Kotwa, Tilmapur and Ashapur, called as satellite settlements by the excavator Vidula Jaiswal. And all these three sites are located on the northern side of river Varna, towards Sarnath area. At Rajghat excavations in 1940 by Krishnadev of ASI was followed by A.K. Narayan and his team of BHU for several seasons between 1957 to 1969, could suggest antiquity of Kashi Rajghat only to circa 800 BC, which I just mentioned. However, the pre-NBPW deposit prompted the author of this paper and Vidula Jaiswal to re-excavate the site to confirm the antiquity on scientific grounds, and now the C14 dates from the site determine it to be around 1600 BC. Now this is the location of the Varanasi city. This is Rajghat. So right from Rajghat up to Assi, this is Assi river, which has become now a Nala, And on the other side, this is the river Barna. So in between is located Varanasi, and outside are other smaller sites which were satellite settlements. And then on the northern extreme north, about 10 kilometers from the site, from the city, is the location of Sarnath. Although extent of Varanasi, the capital city of Kashi, seems to be 8 into 8 kilometers, but the area of Kashi Mahajanpad was much more beyond this in all directions, with mineral and sandstone resources from Kaimur and Chunar Vindhya hills. Many of the Jatak stories speak of Kashi and its ruler Brahmadatta, and probably Brahmadatta is mentioned in different texts. It seems that possibly it was the dynastic name. Period 1 at Aktha has been called by the excavator as later Vedic period due to various reasons: proximity of the site with Rishipatan and finding of terracotta and pottery discs mentioned as Kapal in later Vedic texts of Shatpat Brahman, Grihya and Shraut Sutras as an object used in Yagyas. This period of early 2nd millennium BC is also available from Rajghat, Aktha and Ramnagar in pre and BPW deposits as per determination of scientific dating. One C14 date from layer 10 in trench A1 from Ramnagar has been determined as 3412 years before present, which is a calibrated date, which comes in the range of 1290 to 1090 BCE, having presence of northern black polished ware, sometimes with incised Brahmi letters, which could be the early evidence of writing as proposed by the excavator. On the potsherds there are some scratchings, and through those scratchings it seems that there are certain Brahmi letters which are scratched over them. And then if we believe that, then that could be one of the early evidence of writing, the Brahmi script. And now we know very well that from several sites in South India as well as from Anuradhapur in Sri Lanka, the date of Brahmi is supposed to be around 5th century BC. Antiquity of Brahmi goes back to around 5th century BC, which normally was believed to be of the time of Ashok, that is 3rd century BC. Kashi is known by various names such as Avimukta, meaning thereby that Lord Vishwanath never leaves it. It is also called Mahashmasan, and tradition believes Kashyam Marnan Mukti, that one gets salvation after his death in Kashi. A medieval tradition also calls it Anand Kanan. And this is the presiding deity Kashi Vishwanath, who is there in this Kashi Vishwanath temple. And just next to it you have this mosque which was constructed by demolition of the Gyanvapi temple there, and then it was constructed by Aurangzeb. There are two very important shmasanas on the ghats. This is a picture of Harishchandra Ghat, and tradition also connects King Harishchandra with there is a story, I think everyone knows about that. And the other important ghat is Manikarnika Ghat. Kashi became important for trade and commerce when its habitation grew up to large size and specialized crafts were developed. Its geomorphological setup made it a dock of the crescent shape. You can see this is the flow of the river, and interestingly Ganga flows in a northerly direction at Varanasi, while the slope of the natural slope is from northwest to southeast, but there is a temple about 6-7 kilometers near from BHU, from where the river which was coming from western direction, it takes a northerly turn, and then again flowing, it goes and takes an eastern turn. And all the ghats, they are located on the left bank of the river, at least 80 of them. And in front is located the Ramnagar, where which was made the seat of administration, seat of kingship in the 18th century. So, because of this northerly turn, the water used to push Kashi, and it had taken a shape of a crescent, and that and since the flow was also less here, it became a dockyard, and that gave chances of developing trade, river trade. Pali texts and Jatakas describe the city as a center of muslin, perfumes, and shipbuilding industry. The city's sandalwood craft and cloth making were known for beauty and value. Pali texts mention Kashi's Dantakar Vithi as a street of ivory workers. Specialized villages were located outside the city, such as Vadhaki Gam, that is a village of carpenters, and Nisad Gam, village of hunters. They suggest localization and specialization of crafts. Varanasi as Varanasi is mentioned 712 times in the Jatakas. A Gupta ceiling, about which I just earlier mentioned, Varanasya Adeshthanadhikarana, which was found in 1940, suggested Rajghat to be the main site of the ancient city. It seems that the city expanded during the Gupta period, which is confirmed by 2015-16 excavation at Saraswati Phatak near Kashi Vishwanath temple. This excavation was, last year it was taken up by Gyan Prabha, and the earliest deposit was found to be of Gupta period. And after Gupta period at Rajghat, the development seems to be not very much. But the city was expanding, so it expanded no less than 3-4 kilometers towards south, and that is how we get the evidence of Gupta period onwards from the site of Kashi Vishwanath. There are handicraft tradition in Varanasi still continuing on metal smith, then the workers in wood craft and also in metal craft. Vishwanath Gali in Varanasi is famous for silk, brocade, and various crafts. And these are the areas which for during the medieval times they had developed like anything. And then you can also see the famous symbol of Kashi the ox. There is just one temple which is left, which belongs to 12th century. Others are all in ruined condition. And this temple of Kardameshwar Mahadev, belonging to 12th century, is located towards western side of the city, and it remains in its intact position with various sculptures located and on different parts of the temple. You can see mostly they are Shaivite sculptures, Uma Maheshwar and Gajantak, but there is a sculpture of Vishnu also, which is located there, and they belong to 12th century, and most probably this was constructed during the time of the Gahadwal rule. We know that Govind Chandra and up to Jai Chandra, they were rulers of Kashi at that time. And this Kardameshwar Mahadev temple is also mentioned in the Kashi Khand of Skanda Purana. Now this is the evidence. It seems that the city expanded during the Gupta period and the focus area shifted to present Pakka Mahal area, which is confirmed by 2015-16 excavations at Saraswati Bhatak near Kashi Vishwanath temple. And a large number of remains of sculptures and architectural fragments were found from deposits of post-Gupta and early medieval times. Now we come straightway to the excavations at Rajghat, and Rajghat excavations, which basically this material is of the excavations conducted by Banaras Hindu University under direction of Professor A.K. Narayan. And the period 1, that is the earliest period at Rajghat, was supposed to have been divided into 3 sub-periods. But now, after our excavations conducted in 2013-14, we have revised this chronology, and what was supposed to be period 1, period 1A, we call it period 1, and period 1B and 1C we call period 2A and 2B. So period 1A has got black slipped ware, black and red ware, slipped and unslipped red ware, iron implements, bone tools, terracotta objects, discs, balls, wheels, ear ornaments, skin rubbers, toppers, stone balls, beads of terracotta, paste and bone. And no NBPW, that is Northern Black Polished Ware, was found from the deposit of 1A. And that was the reason why we separated it from the rest of the 2 sub-periods. 1B had the presence of Northern Black Polished Ware, both plain and painted, and there was a deposit of 2 meter thickness. Wooden planks were noticed, suggesting a long platform along the Ganga. Due to destruction of it caused by heavy floods, city embankment in form of massive clay embankment was provided. A water channel or ditch connected Varna with Ganga. Existence of houses is suggested by the presence of mud plaster with reed impressions. And period 1C has got close connection with period 1B. It has the emergence of coarse grey ware and deterioration in quality of Northern Black Polished Ware. New shapes in red ware include pear-shaped vase, which is also known as Aichitra 10A pottery, pans with applied loop handles on either side, carinated handi with featureless rim, dish with sagar base, shallow bowls with flat base, terracotta ring wells, molded terracotta figurines, uninscribed copper cast coins. Now they appear, which are the main characteristics of this sub-period. This is a view of excavations which were conducted in 1940. This is the bridge at Rajghat and Rajghat excavations. Now coming to period 2. The period 2 represents first 2 centuries before Common Era. Normally what we say Shung period. And it has the deteriorated type of NBPW and coarse graveware, which are found in very less amount, and redware is found with stamped with leaf, floral and Triratna symbols, often with applied design. Makarmukh occurs in later levels. Baked brick appear to be used in houses which have normally 2 rooms, a vestibule and a well, a bathing platform and an attached brick drain. So this is a feature of a house complex which have been noticed at different localities in the same area. So a perfect example of a normal house had all these qualities. Sanitary arrangements are suggested by soakage jars with perforated bottoms. Terracotta ring wells are also found, and terracotta ring wells are mentioned in Sanskrit literature as Gand Kusul, which finds mention in the Harshcharit of Banbhatt. And they were used for 2 purposes. One was that they were used for fetching water, and the other one was used as a soakage structure. Uninscribed copper cast coins, they continue. Terracotta and clay seals and ceilings are also found, some of them bearing names like Revati myth in the Brahmi characters of 2nd, 1st century BCE. Period 3 represents 1st to 3rd centuries of the Common Era, and more or less it is contemporary to the Kushan period. It seems to be the most prosperous period of the site. Houses of baked bricks are found, having 2 sizes of bricks, 40 centimeters in length, 25 centimeters in width, and 5 centimeters in thickness, and the other one is 39, 29, 5. Progress is also noticed in art of clay modeling. Elephant figurines are most favorite ones. Female figurines have heavy ornaments and headdresses. Pottery is redware. Bowl with vertical, sharpened, incurved and obliquely cut rims. Lid having vase-shaped central design. Lid cum bowl. Basins, kadahi with handles. Sprinklers. These are main pottery types. Seals and ceilings have also been recorded, and one having figure of a bull inscribed with a inscribed legend Pushkarana is found. Another common name on the ceilings is Harishen. Die struck now besides in the coins which we noticed in earlier period, particularly period 2 and also in period 1C, the coins were cast uninscribed copper cast coins, but now in period 3 we find coins of Ayodhya, and the name Shivdatas is there. We also find coins of Kaushambi with Navas, and on surface we also find coins of the Kushans. Other objects include terracotta feeders, wheels, lids, dabbers, bully, gamesmen, balls, miniature offering lamps, ear ornaments, rattles, skin rubbers, cones, stoppers, beads, pendants, amulets, rings and bangles. And this is what we find in the period 3 and period 4 in the excavations, and the terracotta human figurines as well as animal figurines. The period 4 is datable from 300 to 700 AD. It has lesser number of structures, but still some of them can be considered to be very important. Like we have two square kundas. A brick-edged platform is associated with an apsidal structure, definitely for some ritual purpose. A kitchen with an oven and storage jars, these were exposed. Earlier types of redware continue with red polished ware having long neck sprinklers. Ceilings with inscriptions such as Pakhikul and Govindaswamy were found. 4 gold coins of Chandragupta and Kumargupta first and Skandagupta and tiny gold objects in a pot have also been found. A beautiful terracotta figurine of a deity, rich terracotta human and animal figurines belong to this period. Now the last period is period 5th and a deposit lying over period 5th. The period 5th represents roughly 700 to 1200 AD. Disturbances in the deposit of this period is noticed due to pit activities, but brick walls, floors and large number of architectural fragments including amalakas and sculptural evidence of pedestal with ling all lying in the same level points towards destruction of a Brahmanical structure. Terracotta objects of daily usage and also decorative ones have been found. The pottery is generally coarse and redware, and of particular mention is knife-edged bowl, lid, sturdy basin, and pots with spouts confined to middle and late levels are glazed ware, having shallow bowl and plate providing with ring base. And this is the time, as I mentioned earlier, that the deposits of period 5th is quite disturbed, and in the disturbed upper levels we have the terracotta human figurines also representing poor skill, and 2 coins of Sher Shah and Akbar and one of the East India Company have also been found from this disturbed level. So this is a periodization which has been given for Rajghat excavations. And I want to mention these 2 books, one on the terracotta figurines from Rajghat excavations which of 1940, which was published by ASI, and the other one of 2013-14 excavations of Rajghat. In 2013-14, we excavated the site of Rajghat, re-excavated rather, the site of Rajghat in order to find the earliest levels and to get them dated. And there, these are some of the levels datable to Shunga and Kushan period, when you have these ring wells or Gand Kusul, which I mentioned earlier. We also have brick structures, and see the quality of the potsherds, the northern black polished ware and black slipped ware pottery, so shining and having deluxe variety of them. Northern black polished ware and black slipped ware again with painted pottery, they are also found. They are found in normally period 1 or continuing in period 2. In period 1 they are not found in painted designs. And this C14 date, the charcoal sample has been dated and determined by BSIP to be 1600 BC plus minus 90 years. So this is the latest date of Rajghat. Now, besides Rajghat, Professor Vidula Jaiswal had excavated in 2002 and 4 uh, from the side of BHU, the site of Aktha, and probably Aktha was the site where where it was determined to be the first period was determined to be 1800 to 1200 BC in dates. It has beginning in the Chalcolithic period, and the historical deposits are also there, which suggest a stone workshop for carving stone sculptures. And probably, since it was connected with Varna and Varna was connected with Ganga, so the Chunar sandstone blocks, they were brought to this site through Varna, and then through a nala to this site. They were first given a shape, and then probably they were sent to Sarnath, which is located next to it. And as crow flies, it's hardly 1.5 kilometers, but distance is about 3 kilometers. And these are the deposits. I think not many people may be interested in these pottery of these are black and red ware pottery from period 1, and definitely they belong to the middle of the second millennium BC. Then these are all different types of pottery, bowls and dishes and such other potsherds, which have been recovered from the excavations at Aktha, all belonging to period 1. There are other objects which are found from later deposits also, like this terracotta pestle or so many different types of beads. This is a view, these are two views of the excavations there, and then we have coins from the site, coins which have been found in the levels of period 3, the mixed variety of coins from Panchmark to uninscribed copper cast coins and to die-struck coins. There are more coins and more seals and sealings. Some other objects, and in fact this with hole or without hole, they have been found. So those which are not having hole, like these, they are considered to be discs called kapal in the Shraut Sutras as well as in Shatvat Brahman. There are terracotta figurines and iron objects. More such figurines, and there is a terracotta bird figurine. There are beads. Then we come to Sarnath. And Sarnath is the most well-known site, archaeological site. It has got a history of excavations for about 200 years, from 1815 onwards, and the last excavations which we did in 2013-14. And you can see these are the two stupas. This is called Dhammek Stup. With its shadow you can see the profile of the stupa. And this is the Dharmarajik Stup, which is supposed to have been constructed by Emperor Ashok. And there are remains of a large number of votive stupas and some 7 or 8 monasteries. There are some other important structures also about which we'll just make a mention. At least 8 monasteries have been located at the site, and one of the earliest and most imposing discoveries at Sarnath has been the Ashokan lion capital, which is our national emblem today. And it was found in the excavations conducted at Sarnath in 1905 by F.O. Ortil. Xuanzang visited the site of Sarnath, and he mentions that in Varanasi there were 30 Sangharamas, and with about 300 priests, 3,000 priests, and 1,500 priests studied the little vehicle according to the Samiti school in Sarnath. These are some of the views of our excavations of 2013-14. You can see some of these trenches which we particularly planned near this apsidal structure in order to confirm the earliest levels, because we knew that this apsidal structure belongs to late Shung or Kushan, late Maurya or Shung period. But when we excavated it, we found that it belongs to early Mauryan period. Our objective of excavation of this limited nature at Sarnath was two-pronged. One was to know what had happened after the death of Buddha, or say after Buddha and before Ashok, because most of the archaeologists and scholars who have worked on Sarnath, they had been of the opinion that Sarnath came up only during the time of Ashok, and there was no activity at Sarnath prior to the time of Ashok. So our idea was to confirm, because from literature we know that Sarnath was having a monastery even in the time of Buddha, and that monastery and the human activity must have continued even before the time of Ashok, when he came here and established his pillar, which is here, somewhere here, within this shed, and constructed the stupa, Dharmarajik stupa, because it's mentioned in an 11th century inscription also as Dharmarajik, and Dharmarajik, wherever it is mentioned, it suggests King Ashok only. So we excavated purposely this part in order to confirm the earliest antiquity, on which I will be just coming. And then there was another problem too, because 200 years of excavations have not given an idea of the chronological sequence and the deposits. So we excavated towards northern side, and here we found that it gives a complete picture of the sequence, cultural sequence. So at the time of excavations next to this apsidal Chaitya, we found that it has got two different phases of construction, and the earlier phase belongs to the early Mauryan period, and later phase belongs to the late Mauryan or early Shung period, and over which there were still further constructions which came up during the time of the Guptas. And we were fortunate enough to have the scientific date from this level, and it comes to 385 BC. That suggests it is more than 100 years before the time of Ashok. So our objective, limited objective, which was to suggest what happened after Buddha and before Ashok, that was proved because of this. Now I had shown you this picture also. We had found a dump of broken sculptures. And normally, and this dump was found in the late levels of Gupta or post-Gupta period itself. And normally we think that the sculptures were broken after the attack of the Turks at the site. But it doesn't seem to be so here, because we have a date which is coming to 380 to 420 BC AD, and this is related to that dump. So we can say that probably, and then we also have the evidence of a workshop where the final chiseling was done of the sculptures, and at that time probably these sculptures were broken, and once they were broken, they were put in a pit or in a dump. Now we have this 6 periods of cultural sequence of the site. The period first has 2 sub periods. First is pre-Mauryan, belonging to 5th, 4th century BC. Second period is Mauryan. Period 2 is Shung. Period 3 is Kushan. Period 4th is Gupta. Period 5th is post-Gupta, and period 6th is early medieval or Rajput. And for the first time we have this complete cultural sequence of the site at Sarnath. Interestingly, we also found an inscription, in fact up to 3 steps, up to this level, it was exposed. This is a monolithic steps having 7 steps, and it was exposed only up to here, and there was an inscription which mentioned about Acharyas of Sarvastivadin cult, and it was never excavated below. We further excavated it, found a Chandrashila and also some of the railing pillars, and this inscription over this, which is very badly damaged, but it has 4 letters very clear which say Varsha. That means year 100. That definitely suggests that this inscription belongs to 178 AD. And in 178 AD, this site was under the occupation of Acharyas of Sarvastivadin cult. Most probably this was the time when the Kushans were ousted from the area of Varanasi, and there was a king called Ashoghosh, whose name is also found on the pillar, Ashokan pillar, as well as on 2 other places. So probably it was under the rule of a local king, Ashoghosh. And I was mentioning about a sculpture workshop. We found the remains of some of the stone blocks, as well as a huge amount of debris of stones, along with the dump which I had shown you earlier, suggesting that probably the final shape of the sculptures were made here. And then we had also analyzed that different stone chips, they are so tiny like this and up to stone chips of a larger size. Thank you.